I've got a stack of 12 used bin discs for this video. But the first one is legitimately one of the coolest discs I've ever pulled out of the used bins. So here's why. We're gonna come back to this one in a second. Sometimes whenever I go through the MVP sections, somebody will have a cool, sweet old collection of MVP. So these are all usually pre-flight numbers, which is pre-flight numbers is usually predates the 2008 era. And you'll see patent pending embossed underneath all of these putters. So I ended up finding 4 base plastic putters. All right. So I have the Electron Ion right here in really good condition. I also found one of the firm ions. So different plastic. All right. We found a Atom, which the Atom is like one of those molds that I've never really messed around too much with, except I did find a sweet patent pending Atom like a couple of used videos ago that I loved. This one's in like just normal Electron plastic. Feels like, oh my gosh, like if I'm on team MVP, then I would be throwing this in the bag for sure. And then lastly, an anode. So I found these 4 base plastic putters, which I love trying different putters and just like the older runs of honestly any manufacturer's plastic. So I found these 4 that led me back to the other sections, and I found this Ion. So this, it's like, I don't even know how to explain this blend of plastic, but if you look on the underside of this disc, I actually had no idea. So it says manufactured by MapleValleyPlastics.com. So this apparently is one of the very first discs that MVP ever created. Like you look at the underside of this disc and it is just bizarre. You have this middle piece, which is super glossy, but then this section from here to here is like a matte, completely different texture. I don't know how to explain it. It almost feels like 3 different pieces of a disc. Like you have your middle section, you have like this section because it's puddle top, where the slick section in the middle is like normal. Like I don't know how to describe this disc. I'm like, what is going on here? And I asked Alex, who was working at Replay at the time, like, what is this? He was like mind blown that this was in there. They hand put these together. Like this, they didn't have their machines that were putting them together. I could be wrong. Like, does anybody know anything about these super, super early run ions? Because again, I'd never seen something like this. And the tooling was completely different. Yeah, but it just basically says manufactured by Maple Valley Plastics. And I legitimately didn't know that that's what MVP stood for. Duh, I guess. So, wow. It feels like CE plastic era, like it's champion plastic, super opaque. Man, it legitimately is one of the coolest discs I've ever found in really good condition. And the Ion is such an interesting mold with how like curved the inside of the rim is. It fits your, ergonomics of your hand pretty well, but really unique mold. I need to learn more about this run. So drop it in the comments, help me out, because I don't know exactly what I have because I've never seen this tooling before. I really should do research like before these videos, but I don't really feel like my channel should be about all the history. It's just about like cool used bin finds. I'm not trying to be the ultimate disc nerd out here. Next up, the original disc that got me into used bin hunting. All right. Back in 2021, or is it 2020? Back in 2020, this disc was the reason why I started getting into the used bins. I just started playing disc golf again. I was playing Alex Clark a lot because it's a short course, great beginner course, trying to learn how to play disc golf. And I found like a purple and blue Razor Claw, the original Razor Claw. And I remember buying it and somebody coming up to me and asking to buy it off of me as soon as I got to the course. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, dude, I'll give you like $30. I said no, because I was like, it's a cool disc, but maybe look into discs. When I researched the Razor Claw, I threw it up on eBay and I woke up the next morning and it sold for like $60. So I turned like a $10 disc into like $50 of profit. And I was like, whoa, there's a collector market in disc golf? I had no clue. And so that kind of like sparked this entire journey. Now I make used bin videos on YouTube for thousands of people to watch. How cool is that? But this is the one that actually started it all for me. So anytime I find original Razor Claw, I always buy it. Now there is a variant in here with a broken claw. This is not the broken claw stamp, but that one's a little bit more valuable. You look in this section if you see a broken claw on the Razor Claw. They call these the P4 now, but pretty similar to a harp. Really, really good disc. Next up, I have a really unique Star Coyote. So this one is like a really dark navy. It has this purple streak in the middle, and I thought it was like bagware at first, but then I look on the other side, this whole bottom section's purple. You got purple in here, so it's like a swirled star. Man, this is like those really fingerprinty plastic star discs, but it doesn't feel like it's gonna break, I'll tell you that. It's basically a Mako, or a Mako 3 with what that is today. Pre-flight number, so no flight numbers on the disc, so you know it's earlier than about 2008. And it is, of course, pinned on the back. Really cool, unique disc that I know there's a big scene out there for Coyotes. They're a pretty good mold, but basically kind of like the original Mako or Mako 3 in my mind. Is the Coyote the Mako 3 now? I don't know. You tell me in the comment section. How does the Coyote and Mako 3 compare? Because I'm pretty sure like the same disc. Next one looks like a pretty simple rock. Like I didn't even look at it at first, and I heard this dude literally like mumbling something looking at this disc, so I was like, I'll have to go check it out. What did he pick up? And it ended up being this bottom stamped Big Bird pinned rock. Not a rock 3. This is a original Star rock, and it has a very interesting profile. This thing has a pop top, but like it's really stiff. Really, really stiff. Like, how did this plastic come out so well? Why can't they do that today? So, really unique unicorn of a mold, I would say, in my opinion. The rock's one of those original ones. I bag a DX rock, not a Star rock. But the dome on this, I wonder how this will fly. But it was brand new in the used bins, never been thrown. It's the Big Bird bottom stamped rock edition, which is pretty freaking awesome. Talk about dyeing this one. You could put a sick dye on this disc. Like most of me, when I'm filming these videos, and I find these cool ones that I should dye, I always want to dye them, but I don't want to ruin this canvas for somebody else yet. But if nobody buys this, I'm definitely going to put a dye on it. Next up is a Thought Space Athletics Praxis. This is the first run that they did in the Aura plastic. This is the exact mold that I kind of fell in love with this mold. It's an understable to straight putter, or if you throw it flat, it's got this like late drift to the right on a backhand. And I just thought that was just so unique. It was the first disc that I thought I would put in my bag that was really understable. I've always been more of an overstable thrower. So this one, finding them in blue is kind of hard, actually. I had to dye the disc that I used into like a swirly cotton candy pattern, and it was originally like this green. So this one was actually pretty sweet. I love this run of Thought Space Praxis. It is also the same mold as the Mint Discs Bullet, if you're wondering. Which you're never wondering. I just think it's interesting to see the overlap on the Thought Space and Mint molds. So next up, first run Meteor. Pretty simple. It's the first edition they ever did with the Z plastic and the Meteor. I don't know, man. This one feels pretty sneaky good. I've never thrown Meteors all that often, but I feel like it could be pretty sweet. And it's a first run disc, which I like finding those first runs. Next up is a disc that I'm like 99% sure I already bought this disc from Replay, and I've already sold this on my website, and I found it again in Replay. Like, I'm almost 99% sure. But there's no name on here. If you bought this disc and you lost it, and you're local in DFW and you want it back, just hit me up. All right, I got it back again, and I'll get this one back to you. But it is a mystery box, MD1. It's Color Glow MD1. You know, if I talk about the Coyote and the Mako 3, the MD1 is basically that same mold. It is very similar. It's a little different on like the bottom of the wing, but in hand, it feels like a Mako 3. Last but not least, this is the DNA Horizon FD1. Now, I actually have one of these sitting on my Discmania section up here that I just haven't had time or haven't thrown yet. But this one was in the used bins, barely been thrown, So this is part of that DNA series where the players got to design their own dream disc. They got to come up with their different combinations. So this one's almost like S-line plastic on the top, and in the middle is like C-line. So it's a super unique combo, really stiff, and it feels like kind of like that perfect Eagle slot or like that FD2 from the original Discmania days. Really cool pickup. Pretty cotton candy themed. You know, it's gray, pink, and blue, but we'll take it. We'll take it. So that was a fun find. That's everything I ended up finding today in the used bins. Tell me about this disc. I want to know all I can about this early run MVP Ion, because I'm not selling this one. This thing is so cool.